Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for giving your valuable time to us. We are privileged and honored that we are able to put up this webinar for all of you, connecting the fragmented supply chain, focusing on multimodal logistic operation, interstate transportation, which is both road surface and as well as rail, and we'll be talking about last mile deliveries. We are privileged. We have Shri Vineet Agarwal, Senior Vice President ASSOCHAM and Chairman of ASSOCHAM National Logistic Councils. I request Honorable Shri Vineet Agarwal ji to kindly take the session forward and introduce the speakers.
Thank you, Parminder, and good morning and welcome to all of you, to all participants as well as the panelists today. And thank you, sir, Mr. Shivaselam, to join us today, as well as our esteemed panelists. I think this is the new normal now, to have these meetings and conferences like this. So we will try to make the best out of this. I would request all the other participants attendees to put their questions on the chat channel here, so that on the questions panel over here, so that we're able to direct the questions to the respective panelists. I would request the panelists to be brief, as well as adhere to the time slots. I think we have 5 minutes each, except for the secretary, who has 15 minutes. It would be good to know what you're doing in your own state in some cases, and in your businesses in the other cases. So greatly appreciate everyone to join us. I just want to leave out a few thoughts as a logistician myself. Personally, I think there are two things that we should think about, certainly. First is the current state of logistics in the country, and what are we doing to and the second, perhaps not today, but at some point in the future, to discuss the future of supply chains in India, which we believe will go through a rapid change with domestic sourcing increasing, or handling systems improving, and so on, because of reducing the touch points due to the virus. So that would be something that we can discuss in the future. But currently, we would like to talk specifically about what are the challenges that everyone is facing, and how each of us can help in that area. Specifically, I can say for ourselves, we have still more than 1,000 trucks that left their destination more than a month ago, that have not reached their destination. And the government has been very proactive in pushing this at various ends. And Mr. Shivaselam himself has been very proactively pushing this. But it is still ground level, there are lots of issues. And I think if it would be good that our audience gets to know what each of you are doing at the ground level, so that we are able to address these issues more concretely. So without wasting any further time, I would now request Mr. R.S. Sodhi, who is the MD at Amul, to give us his views. Thank you, sir. Sir, so you're on mute, sir. Yeah.
Okay. You can hear me, right? Thank you, Vineet ji, and respected Shri Shivaselam, Secretary sir, all the participants. Thank you very much for giving his time, sir. Well, you see, Amul, as you talk about the supply chain, we have got a very, very complex and elaborate supply chain. I mean, generally people talk about supply chain, raw material receipt and distribution, but our supply chain starts from the 36 lakh farmers who are producing milk twice in a day. And our job was first, when the lockdown was announced, how to collect this milk from 18,500 village cooperative society, which is being done by around 5,000 road milk tankers. So fortunately, because road milk tankers are visible from a distance, and right from the day one, milk was identified as essential service. Only thing is, the few hours we may have faced some problems at some location, because at the ground level, people are not aware what you mean by essential for the milk is included on it, especially the intrastate transfer. But for few hours, tankers were standing at some of intrastate checkpoint. But when we talked to the right authorities, it was sorted out. So the first leg is incoming. Incoming means road milk tankers bringing milk from 18,000 village cooperative society to 82 plants, and then also from plants to going by these tankers to Delhi, Bombay, Calcutta. So our job was first, the problem we faced, road milk tankers, people are getting different. What about the drivers? How to bring drivers to the tanker? So that problem came, but somehow we arranged, tankers went to fetch those drivers, and later on passes were organized. So every transporter worked in coordination with us. And then same tankers were moved to the Delhi, Bombay, Calcutta, loading the milk. So problem came en route. There were no dhabas. So first thing is we arranged for them is the food at the dairy and at the sending dairy, at the receiving dairy, and in between giving them some food that they can carry forward, and also giving them some incentives. You see, when they are giving we allowed hardship allowance to all the logistic partners so that they can bear the extra expenses. The second biggest challenge in our supply chain is we have got three for the finished product. We have got three types of finished product. One is the fresh product, which you call pasteurized milk or curd, or where these products are transported from packing unit to the nearest market within 2-3 hours. So around 10,000 vans are used. So what we did is all these trucks we fixed essential service milk. So generally on the ground we did not face much problem. There were some problems. The right authorities were approached, permissions were taken, passes were taken in next 2-3 days, and passes for drivers and cleaners were taken, and within 2-3 everything fall in place. The second supply chain what we have got is of we call for ambient products, and that is where for dairy products, that is chilled product or the where trucks are moving either ambient temperature or 0 to 2 degree. So there were some problems. Let me tell you, initially it took at least 1 or 2 days to get convinced the truck. You see, first is the communication, communicating to all the supply chain partners that our service is essential service, and you will not face any difficulty convincing them, because everybody sat at home that we can't move out because next constable or policeman is not allowing to walk on the road. So first build communication and building confidence that you can come. Problem will be there. Let me tell you, when lakhs of crores of police people are working on the road, you see, please, I don't blame them. It takes time communication to reach. And wherever problems came, and whenever we approach the right authorities, immediately within few hours permissions came. So all the transporters were convinced, given them incentives, given them extra freight to take the goods to the various places. Then the third problem is, which still is going on, is the frozen product, where ice cream is transported at -20, because ice cream sales stopped, 95% drop. So why to carry? So what we did is diverted these ice cream transporters to our ambient and chilled product. So that was done. And third was the export consignment. See, export for the empty containers were not allowed. Similarly, empty trucks were, when this we realized from transport that empty trucks are not allowed, we talked to the government with the secretary and Ministry of Home Affairs and Mr. Paran also, and immediately next day the permission came that empty trucks are allowed. Then when the export containers were empty containers were not allowed to talk, we remember on 28th we talked to Sir Sivalan Sab in the night. I think we talked around 9 o'clock or 10 o'clock. Immediately after a few minutes, JS Radha madam phone came to our manager and she talked to the worker. Next day morning, all the permissions came for the movement of empty containers and the filled up containers. And then there were also permission came for the export inspection agencies. And then there were permissions for the ship line and CHA people. That also within next 1 or 2 days. So I think what problems in export, what we are facing initially was, I think Chamber of Commerce has to work from the online, especially for the certification of origin. I mean, everybody is working from home. A Chamber of Commerce is issuing the SETI courses, but they can also issue, like export inspection agencies were now started giving online approval. And shipping line offices are not opening. I think they are also not allowed. They are also now. The fourth problem which we are facing, some shipping lines are skipping their schedule. I mean, they are delaying. So that problem we are sorting out. What I can tell you, more or less, logistic is in place. Instead of, we always have, if anything happens, we start blaming government, start blaming police, start blaming. But I think everybody is in a problem. These are the people who are working on the ground. So we have to sympathize with them. Problems will be there. If you put a proper notification on the trucks, proper passes which you can organize, and if somebody stop, convince them. And I think you'll be able to move. I think later on I add few other points when if time is there. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. That was very useful, I think, getting to know about your experiences. I think we all share the same experiences in the proactiveness that.
One thing I forgot to tell about the railways. See, now we are moving around 40% of our cargo through railway. That also has come because passenger traffic stop, railways moving 40% of our cargo, especially to the distance places. That is the other alternative which we tried and is working very well.
Right, sir. Thank you. Yeah, so sir, the supply chains are all disrupted right now. I think in many cases the supply chains are broken, disrupted, and it will take time for it to get back. Let us now move to Mr. M. T. Krishna Babu. He's IAS Principal Secretary Transport Government of Andhra Pradesh. Sir, we'd like to hear some of your views as to what you're thinking about in Andhra Pradesh and what action have you taken to really help enhance the smooth operations and logistics in the state, sir. Thank you.
Yeah, am I audible?
Yes, sir.
Yes. Thank you very much. And of course, I have listened to Sodhi Saab. So in Andhra Pradesh, what we have done is starting of the lockdown itself, we have opened a call center 1902, which is already very popular in Andhra Pradesh. So this 1902, we have segregated this COVID-related lockdown issues, and we have given different subjects, almost 41 of them, where the problems relating to COVID can be monitored much more closely. Government has started control and command center. Of course, I am heading the control and command center for essential commodities movement and essential supplies in Andhra Pradesh. So this 1902 can be accessed by anybody from anywhere in Andhra Pradesh. So this is the center which we are continuously monitoring. We have started control centers at each of the district. So naturally, the integrated control center, that is having the representatives from various departments which are related to movement of both essential commodities and also essential supplies, and also manufacturing of essential commodities, the units which they want some liaison. So this has really helped us to understand what kind of issues which are coming. From the day one, Andhra Pradesh, even though Government of India has allowed initially only essential commodity movement goods vehicles, but as a precaution, we have allowed the movement of all the goods lorries from the day one, because it's very difficult to segregate essential commodity goods and goods vehicles which are carrying non-essential commodities, because anyway non-essential goods will not be transported unless it is very urgent, because people also know that at the receiving end the proper unloading and all these issues will be there, receiving issues will be there. So we have taken up that as a principle, but subsequently Government of India also has given permission for the movement of all goods vehicles. We also started one interstate group with transport secretaries of various states. Especially South is very active. All the almost 6 to 7 states we are continuously interacting. Later, we also got in other states from northern and eastern western side. So this interstate, the coordination group really has helped in resolving many issues, because whatever issues being flagged there, all the concerned states started acting on it, and I am sure that by now this is not the major issue, the movement of the vehicles, etc. And only the main issue is traffic on the road. If you see, prior to lockdown to present situation, the goods lorries, the percentage which are now moving on the roads based on interstate checkpost figures and also toll gate figures is approximately 25% to 35% of the normal traffic. So that, of course, now after 20th, some more relaxations are given for industrial units and the food processing units, all of them. So we do hope that once the industrial production picks up, then the traffic on the road, definitely the goods vehicles will move. We also have put one e-pass system in place, wherein anybody wants to have any passes for movement or opening of industry or opening of shops, especially which are permitted by the guidelines of MHA. We have put one e-pass online system wherein the people who wants this can apply online, and also our approval goes to them by a link, online link, where they can show to the people in the smartphone, or they can download that application with this pass, because that is the QR code is attached to that. All the police officers on road, they have the QR code reading machine. It's basically their mobile app. That has also has improved the easiness. Just for the statistics, we got almost 54,000 calls in 1902 about disruption in this kind of thing, and each one we have given 2 hours as the SLA. So and of course many of them, because it is online, and basically the district control rooms are also very active, and SPs and everybody is in the group, so naturally that could be sorted out much more faster. Similarly, e-pass, we had got almost 34,000 requests, 34,709 requests as of now. It's a real-time basis, and the permissions are being given. So of course there may be difficulties in procuring the labor, because getting the hamalis, getting the labor, and convincing the drivers to go on for long trip is the main issue, because initially dabas on major road stretches, dabas are closed. There are not much facilities for drinking water, food, and other things for the drivers. So all of that gradually we just made them give the takeaway facility, especially the food items, etc. So we are continuously monitoring, and this control room is 24/7, manned by very senior officers. And any complaint with regard to any part of the supply chain, whether it is procurement of the labor, or because containment zones we have problem because of the tougher guidelines, where the containment zone is declared, where there's a hotspot, where there are number of positive cases, etc. Except those cases, entire remaining areas we are able to keep all the services open. But anyway, our system, both 1902 as well as the online grievance mechanism, it is open 24/7. Whatever issues being highlighted are being sorted out, and also information is given to the person who is calling. So any other issue, the other from the ashram side, anybody wants to give a suggestion for further improvement, we are
Thank you, sir. Thank you. That was very useful. Now I'd like to invite Mr. Vivek Pandey, IAS Commissioner, Trade and Taxes, Government of Delhi, of New Delhi. He's the nodal officer for Delhi for COVID-19 logistics, and Delhi being a very important state, and in terms of the concentration of population as well as the concentration of cases. So we would like to hear from you about what are the action plan related to logistics, and what are you doing to make it smoother? We can't hear you.
Now you can hear?
Yes.
So first of all, thank you, Vinit for giving me this opportunity to speak on this forum. I am Commissioner Trade and Taxes, Delhi government, and yes, you are rightly pointing out here that it is very important from distribution point of view as well as COVID concentration point of view. So, and central government is also situated here. You might have seen the action central government has taken over the officer because people have actually broken down this lockdown. So it is a very critical situation here. And actually the state nodal officer for e-commerce companies and also the state nodal officer for pan-India companies for their authorization of e-passes. Now I am also heading the expert group on private sector, international organizations and NGOs to know their response-related activities and also the economic and welfare measures. First of all, I will tell you that later in few days I will contact SOCM myself to give their suggestion what do they want actually to improve furthering their business models of all the industries put together what they are heading are representing. So like sir has said, in Delhi also we have introduced the system of e-passes, and these e-passes are actually being issued by the DM offices. There is this is all online and barcode is there, and there is one portal, and in case you apply on that portal it will automatically reach to the concerned district offices. And so far we have issued 2,20,000 e-passes, but that also includes the e-passes issued other than business entities, like some citizens requiring some medical needs and others. But overall, you can say 1,25,000 passes we have issued. And we have also created a WhatsApp group in which all the e-commerce companies were there. On real time, we were interacting and sorting out their issues. But as I am very much grateful to Mr. Sodhi from Amul, he has actually augmented the effort and he has actually put on record that wherever there was any problem, government authorities, any part of country, they have come forward to resolve that. Second thing is that there was initially there was some problem that Haryana issues process or Rajasthan issued process. Those were not recognized by our police, but later on this arrangement was made that in case passes have been issued by any neighboring state, that will be honored in Delhi and vice versa. Likewise, after that, what was felt actually that there was some problem to the pan India companies because they cannot go to each DM offices because they operate on the pan India basis. Then another system was put in place, and with the government of India created software. Now the pan India companies like Amazon and Nivea, then Colgate, Dabur Chyawanprash, who are operating at pan India basis, then we have started authorizing them. We have divided the pro forma. In case we are satisfied, we authorize them to issue their own e-passes. And there was a format, and they can issue their own e-passes based on some negotiated fixed quota. So this has smoothened their own issuance of own e-passes. Otherwise, what used to happen, they had to go to each DM office, give the details of all their employees. But now, under trust-based system, we are authorizing them, or rather, we have authorizing 25 companies to issue their own e-passes to their own employees uh, based on some fixed quota now. These are the things. But now I will come with my experience of last 1 month. What I have understood and what my experience is that when you talk about the supply chain, it is a complex thing. Because it starts from manufacturer, then distributor, then wholesaler, then retailer, then customer. In case any chain is broken anywhere, that fragmentation will come. And you know, fragmentation means that these supply chains uh, are spread across states. Like in Delhi, we are getting our wheat and rice supply from Haryana, Rajasthan, Uttar Pradesh. Then obviously Delhi doesn't have that space. Then their godowns and warehouses are situated in Gurgaon, Noida, here and there. Then they have to come to the wholesale market. Some wholesale market have warehouses, but mostly they don't have the. In case the stuff is not sold, that has to go back. Then it has to come to the retailers, and then so this is the entire supply chain. Then there was a news item. Then the truck association was facing some difficulties, as sir has already pointed out. That the thing is that when it comes to the MHA or central government, it has actually issued notification guidelines at a time to time, and and it has interacted with the all India companies, and those guidelines are very good. But when it comes to the implementation on ground level, you are dealing with the local police wala, local municipal authorities, local DM office staff there. So that the communication was somewhere broken, because until that ground person does not understand the meaning what is being conveyed from the central government, doesn't yield any result. And initially we have a lot of problems because e-passes were issued, and then there was another direction for the trucks. There will not be any for the e-passes. They can move without having any discrimination of essential and non-essential with one driver and one labor. So it took time. I understand that I got many calls that, sir, those policemen are not allowing us despite our e-passes. Our laborers are not being allowed because that translation was not done at the local level. It took time. Yes, it took time for 1 week to make them understand. Yes, the e-passes and these unlike the trucks can move interstate without any e-pass, because initially it's very difficult to make them understand. When I dealt with the e-commerce companies, I also encountered this problem because e-commerce companies have also two models. For those e-commerce companies who are actually directly buying from the farmers and having their own warehouses, it was easy rather for them to actually supply the items. But there is a hub and spoke model also, wherein they have the agreement with the third-party logistics, and for their delivery of their items, they have the contract with courier companies. In order to facilitate them, you have to facilitate their third-party logistic as well as courier companies, and they only provide the online platform. So many sellers, and that platform, in the entire platform, actually need to be facilitated in order to make the delivery smooth. So these were the issues. Then we talked to the truck association, what are the issues they face, and they have come out with very valid points. They say that, sir, not only the trucks, not only the movement of trucks, but we also need to open our offices, because until we open our transport option in different states, we take the booking. Actually, what happens, there is as such no discrimination of lockdown and no lockdown. When you want to smoothen the entire supply chain need to be open, and at every step you have to facilitate. And what happened, what I understood is that when we made the policies, we have put these digital delivery and online companies in the focus, but you have to put this labor and the logistics in the focus, because until labor and logistics are kept in the focus, as sir was saying, when a truck operates, it is not only the truck and driver operates. You need to have dhaba, you need to have water, you need to have repair facilities, then you have to have booking offices, then counterpart, where will they stop? These all the things you need to be put together so far. And also we have talked to different market associations, what are the difficulties are they facing. Then I told you that they don't have the warehouse facilities in many of the places. They say that, sir, we want to, you have to facilitate the things that in such a way, in case the items are not sold out, that can be taken back. And then was a great labor problem to hold laborers and to pursue them to work in this COVID environment, and to protect them, to give them a safe environment. These are all the challenges. I can discuss more what we have done, but this is something, because Delhi being a distribution hub, I can understand that there are many issues. And thanks to this forum, when I was going some academics also regarding the supply chain and their fragmentation. So it's a very big term. And of late it has also opened that in case we depend on the e-commerce companies and the digital platform of delivery of services, still we require to promote and support our logistics and labor. So I think the problem here exists to if we want to gear up the entire chain, we have to keep this labor and logistics in in focus, because many of the labor, I talked to the big basket, Amazon, Grover, then what has happened, their own labor have gone. Now they are recruiting their own labor, then they are training them, then again they are equipping them with the market scenario, how to deliver and all these things. So they could not hold their labors. And it is easy, I am just making a philanthropic thing. It is easy to shunt out some laborers, because who is taking care of these labor? There is no employer-employee relations. They are also not covered in the Labor Act. You just throw them out. In case of need, you need to protect them also, because they were working for you before this lockdown. And just something has happened and you have just thrown them out and you have recruited new labor. I'm not talking about, because they have to do their business also. But what about their rights? Who asked about them? What happened to them? What about their wages? Because before this assignment, I was Labor Commissioner of Delhi also. So these are the things. In nutshell, in case I summarize, is that moreover and largely the things regarding the transportation of goods, e-passes, that has now been sorted out. You might have seen in the newspaper that Azadpur Mandi is also running 24/7 now. But I am very much worried, and the supply chain, the crucial requirement of labor and logistics. These both need to be linked together, and the companies operating in this field also need to take care of their labor. Even if in future some industries are allowed to operate, what will happen with those labor? You have to make some arrangement that labor can stay in your, you around the manufacturing units or around the warehouses, and you can take care of their food and logistics and also their safe working environment. Then only the entire food the supply chain can work. Because in case you will fragment this section, then this problem will come. Because how that labor will come? The another problem is that how will you transport the laborers? Even if you allow some industries to operate and open, how will this? Because there is no bus service, there is no metro service. These are the issues which I wanted to raise here. Rest from our side, I most of the once we have started affiliation to pan Indian companies, they are finding it very smooth to issue their own passes. That has been taken care of, but still the driver, the labor, their logistics, their interest and challenge. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Pandey. We will now move on to Mr. Harpreet Singh Malhotra. He's the CMD of Tiger Logistics. Sir, we'll request you for just a short update on your concerns, and then so that we can move to the Special Secretary.
Okay. Good morning, everybody. I think I'm audible. Yeah. So, good morning, everybody. We have an August gathering of everybody, and I'm glad that all the senior members from the government are here, and so happy to know that people are concerned about a very important aspect, which is logistics to kickstart the industry. So, I'll just give you a little brief about what we are doing. So, Tiger Logistics is basically a international logistics company. We are involved in logistics across the borders, across the continent. So, to be very honest, as the lockdown started, we were all not aware that it will last for so long. So, we were actually stuck with the container stuffed at the ports, and they were sailing off, and we didn't know what to do. But to be very honest, things were managed very well. So whatever containers sailed out, we were able to get our bill of lading released from the shipping line, give it to the exporters so that they could get their money from the bank. In fact, to be, whatever commodities which are permitted today, food items are permitted to be exported. So we are exporting even in this point of time. Exports are happening for rice, for grapes out of Nasik, for various other products. Even we are exporting seafood from Viraval. So for us, international logistics, whatever is open is happening. Whatever is permitted. In fact, to be certain steel commodities also are permitted by the government, and exporters have taken special permission for that, and even those are being exported, by us. So even from the customs side, there is absolutely no problem. Customs are being very, very cooperative at all the ports, whether it is Hazira or Mundra or Navasheva. Custom clearance is happening at these ports as well. The only issues which we are facing, to be very honest, is with the shipping line in terms of, in terms of their arbitrary charges, especially in terms of late bill of lading charges. Like you have an exporter which is not able to get his bill of lading released, but the shipping lines are, for whatever reasons, are charging the late BLP charges, though we are not even the containers, we have not even got the bill of lading released. So that is one of the issue which is becoming a big major issue for all the international logistics companies. Another very important issue which is coming is the detention on export containers. Suppose export container has been stuffed and it is waiting for the vessels, and as Mr. Sodhi said that a lot of vessels are missing their voyages from India. So if the containers with export cargo is lying at the port to be sailed, the shipping lines are putting detention charges on that also. So that I think that needs to be corrected by the shipping lines. Otherwise, most of them are being very cooperative, but on little small things, which we can assist to the exporters, which will help the trade as such. A few more points which the logistics industry as such is facing is on the liquidity side. Like today, if I have all our cash flows have been stretched beyond our control today. If I have given a credit of 30 days to a customer, he has openly said that he can't pay before 60 days or 90 days. In that way, the banks with whom we have the with whom we have the working capital limits, they are they are they'll be charging us the interest on the working capital, but none of the customers would be giving us any interest on our outstanding payment. So this is one of a very important point which the logistics industry as a whole is facing, which will ultimately go down in a because a lot of companies will have a lot of major issues when once the business starts, because they will not have any working capital to really start the business when the business actually starts. So I think the government must look into it as to how they can look at some maybe if they can have a benchmark where some kind of a relief could be given through the bank or the particular logistics businesses. That will be very helpful. Another very important point which I would like to put across is some kind of a support for the bigger logistics companies which are maybe employing more than 50 employees or more than 100 employees with them on their roles. Some kind of a wage relief, or some kind of a relief which a government can think of, because once the business starts off, we need to have people to service, but we all know that for next at least 3, 4, 5 months, whether it is imports or exports, it will be very sluggish. So to tide over that situation, if we can get some kind of a business support, or some kind of a relief from the government, will be of a great help. Another, some of the important points which I feel which the international logistics will be facing is that all the exporters will have a very sluggish demand in coming months, because all these have been in shutdown, and people will actually take time to come back and start ordering from their suppliers. So there will be a situation when a lot of international logistics companies will be under a lot of pressure on the business front. The government must look into that aspect as well, that how these logistics company can be kept afloat, because ultimately we are the people who will be servicing these exporters or importers at a later date. So these are a few points which need government attention, on an immediate basis, which will help the industry at large, which is very important. There could be, cases where the exporter or importer has, gone bankrupt or has been facing major financial problems. Some kind of a forum which will help logistics company, to get their payments or to get, those kind of issues sorted out, will be of great help. That's what I feel. Otherwise, we are standing with the trade, we are standing with the businesses. Whatever is permitted, those things are moving. We are grateful to government that they've been very helpful, in whatever best possible way they could do. And we are with the government in supporting the whole cause, and that's where we stand today.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Malhotra. Now, of course, I would like to just do a brief introduction of Mr. Shivaselam. He is IAS from the 1985 batch from Karnataka. He was additional secretary to the Department of Telecom. And sir, that's all. I won't say much. And that he is.
All the guys are known to me.
I'll just give one line more. And he's been available everywhere. In fact, he's been attending webinars almost every single day. I know yesterday he was in the USIBC, and before that at different forums. So he's been very active, extremely. I have got news from a lot of my colleagues in the industry that if there's any issue, just call Mr. Shivaselam, he'll get things done. So it's been very good to see that proactiveness, sir, from the government, especially from you. I believe it also is your birthday today. So
Yeah.
best wishes for your prosperity, growth, and health, sir. So over to you for your comments.
Vinny, thank you for introducing everybody to a senior citizen just born. Uh, so one thing, all guys, please note that from today I'm entitled to 50% concession for everything. So that's it, and I'm happy to be. I saw the list. Almost anybody and everybody here in the list is. I know them personally. Vivek and Krishna, my colleagues. I've seen them and worked with them. Sodi, I saw him yesterday over the TV, and even as I was seeing him over the TV, I was having Amul cheese for your information. So you should be. It's possibly one of the largest selling products in COVID. And today, just before coming, I've just enriched myself with Amul cow milk. Another thing, as I would like to entirely second what Sodhi told me. I mean, I'm myself a person who has worked in the Amul sector. I was the head of the Hassan Milk Cooperative Union way back when I in the 89 to 91, 2 years, and so I know how wonderful the Amul system functions and how we handle. It's not about milk production. Amul is all about logistics, and I learned my teeth much early in Amul. And I can also say that the chairman at that time was a politician, as it always is, one Mr. J.C. Madhuswamy, who is now a minister in the Karnataka. And I can tell you, as chairman, he can give a run for the money for any seasoned bureaucrat. So that's the Amul. I mean, Amul has not only turned out products, I can also say that it turned out good leaders. And if you consider me to be one, I think Amul can share a lot of credit for that, for helping me cut my teeth at a very young age in logistics. When at that time, when logistics as a subject was virtually unknown, Amul used to talk only about logistics. There used to be a regular agenda on the logistics movement in every board meeting of either the milk union as well as in the federation. So that's the way I would like to say, and I'm grateful. So I'm not really surprised when, honestly speaking, nothing came as a surprise when Sodhi blurred out a whole lot of things which Amul was doing. I mean, it's part of the culture, I thought, and maybe they are a good organization to take things forward. Yeah. I would also request, I heard my friend Krishna Babu with great attention, and I also heard Vivek Pandey with great attention. And my talk today would be, they were very passionate about logistics, but I think we should move beyond. I would only give you a word of caution. Yes, if you want to go ahead in logistics, let me tell you, I am the logistics secretary. Trust your logistics guys. Trust your logistics partners. I mean, let me tell you, I've been working with them almost 1.5 years now. They are a wonderful lot, and they can take a whole lot of responsibility. So if there are institutions, please, something like when you are talking about passes, I mean, sorry for sounding a word of caution. It should not be the government which should be issuing passes. We are not talking about a law and order situation out here. We are talking of participative culture in COVID management. And participative culture includes all of us, be it the chaps like us who stay at home, or chaps like all of us who stay at home and who have to manage things. My request to you will be, my request to my colleagues, Vivek has spoken, Krishna Babu has spoken, and others who are there. I think somebody like ASSOCHAM, it can be ASSOCHAM, FICCI, and CII, and it can be PSD, Chamber of Commerce, ICC, to whoever you are affiliated. I think they should take the responsibility for COVID e-pass system. It should not be the government. I mean, it cannot be that the police regulate. I mean, I'm not here in a law and order situation. I'm here in a national situation. And unless and until national institutions like ASSOCHAM come forward to say, yes, He know how to manage my organization. SHM knows more about AMUL than Vivek and I will ever know about it. And therefore, it is the norms which should be determined by the industry association. It's good. A nation cannot be better than the institution which it has. And the integrity of the institution is what defines the integrity of the nation. If institutions decide that the nation is going to be given a short shrift, the nation cannot, has no, I mean, you cannot save the nation from such an attitude. It is very essential that the institution should rise up to the occasion and organize things. I'm very particular about it, but essentially because we are always telling that the government should issue e-passes. It's not very easy. Let me tell you, in order to get an e-pass for a confirmed, what I would call a confirmed disabled person, it took me 2 days. And at my level, it took me 2 days. And when the person issuing the passes lives above my home, in the same building, and it took me 48 hours. The reason is bureaucratic systems being what they are, it does take time, whether you like it or not. And it is not something to be belittled or something. It does take time. I mean, it goes through a hierarchy, and therefore institutions must start the e-pass system. And all what is required in the ground is a credible thing. When a person on the ground, we all want to have guards outside our house. The purpose of the guard is not to stop anybody visiting normally. It is to prevent people who want to visit wrongly. So therefore, the e-pass system, the purpose of the e-pass system is only collateral support. If somebody on the guard wants to stop me and ask me, "Saab, aap kahan ja rahe hain?" then I must be able to tell him, "देखो भाई, मेरा फैक्ट्री यहाँ पर है, मैं यहाँ जाना चाहता हूँ और मेरी ऑथेंटिकेशन यहाँ पर है." और ऑथेंटिकेशन बड़ी बड़ी संस्थाएं करेगी, ना तो कांस्टेबल करेगा. आजकल कांस्टेबल decides whether I should work or not. That is not a good system for this country. And we cannot leave, after all, a constable is a class 4. We cannot leave this country to the whims and fancies and the discretion of a constable. He can only be checking whether a person is authentic or not. And he should be given the tools for that. And once you give the tools for him, an app-based thing, it can be by ASSOCHAM, it can be by any chamber of commerce. Somebody like AMUL or railways can be given their own passes. They know how to manage it. Now, if somebody like AMUL wants to cheat the nation cannot be safe. You have to tell them, okay, you have 1,000 people working for you, please choose 200. Can you do it with 200? He will say, okay. Then you allow him to say, okay, your numbers are restricted to 200. Now, which 200 he operates, let him decide that. Now, we cannot be sitting on the on our tables and then decide ki bhai ye sab pucho ji. And all what you want to do to stall anything is to just refer it back for a query. And then you are delayed by another 2 days. And that is not the system which will be appreciated going forward. And there will be huge tensions. We might be fighting on webinars rather than discussing things. And that situation should not come to pass. We must be able to develop a institutional based system. Today, it might be good for me to be, for civil servants to be issuing passes, but that's not their job. Their job is something quite different. And we should be allowing the civil service to be performing their job, not remain in an election mode or of emergency work throughout the session. There is also work to be done outside essential work. Having said that, my second point is, yes, this is a time for wonderful initiatives from institutions like ASSOCHAM. You need to have industry-wide portals. Somebody like AMUL can also set it up because it requires, a portal is not a website. A website is a 100 rupee job nowadays, whereas a portal is a 100 crore job. And it takes 10 to 15 crores to maintain it as well. So when we talk of a portal, it is not something which everybody talks of portal without knowing its financial implications and it's the integration which it requires. So only big institutions or cooperatives of big institutions like ASSOCHAM can afford to have a portal. And I would strongly suggest that logistics is an important thing to have a portal, because one of the things is one of the big wonderful things about India is the logistics sector is deeply fragmented, and the fragmentation of the logistics sector has got its own advantages, and we must build organizations based on its advantages, not on its disadvantages. If you do, and one of the advantages is if you provide a portal, everybody in a remotest village gets connected, and at that local area, he is possibly the best. It is like an old day postman who knows everything. That is how we should go, and it's a great boon to have a distributed. I wouldn't say the word fragmentation gives a very bad meaning. I would like to use the word what I would call a distributed logistics in our country is a matter of great is a great asset, which in this situation we should be building. And institutions like ASSOCHAM should be looking to organize portal with the support of everybody. Everybody can contribute 1,000 rupees a month, but nobody can contribute 1 crore to be a member of a portal. So I would strongly request that this is my second aspect. My last and final submission to you is, as you have seen, customs has taken what took. We have been pleading with the customs in order to have the e-pass, EDO, and all for the last 5 years. It happened even without any request now. That's what crisis situation does. And now this e-pass, EDO, and all are permanent gains of COVID. They can never ever be rolled back unless and until we have another technology revolution and the whole thing starts all over again. We are now trying to leverage it in order to have what I would call a blockchain-based e-invoicing or e-bill of lading, both for domestic trade and for international trade. The proposal, and if you say that the shipping ministry should decide, I can only tell you that they have already decided, and they have sent their proposal to the Commerce Secretary in order to take it forward, because as we learned much later that the bill of lading issues are on an international side are dealt with by the Commerce Secretary, my colleague in the Department of Commerce. There are two issues out here. Those bill of lading which do not require an LC through the bank, they can be initiated immediately, which means a whole lot of domestic e-billing and e-blockchains can be enabled forthwith. And it is very essential in order to enable it to have association portals. It cannot be individual portals. Shivasalam cannot have one and say, I'm doing a blockchain. Then everybody will require authentication of the blockchain itself. But if an institution portal is there, then every member can act on it. So these are all areas where institutions and Vineet as the head, I would start, and as a logistics expert, I have heard you many times at seminar. Now I would request you, along with your colleagues in CII and FICCI and PPC, ICC, freight forwarder groups, and many other startups, please create a pan-India group in order to do it. I know it costs money, and therefore it cannot be an individual job. Just believe me, it cannot be a job even done by government. We are planning to put that on the PCS, but it does not matter if other credible platforms come along. Those other credible platforms will also be included. Is what I have submitted as a group, and I'm also submitting before you. They are taking it forward. Immediately, bill of lading which does not involve LC. Bill of lading which does not involve L3 through the bank, both in domestic and international trade, can be activated very fast. Now, what do we do with the bill of lading going through the bank? Yes, since the bill of lading is also an instrument which carries ownership with it, all these things that matter negotiable and it is negotiable. If it was not negotiable, there was no problem. It's an ordinary bill of lading itself. But since it is negotiable, it needs to go through the RBI, which will have to give the permission, and we are moving it simultaneously to the RBI itself. Since it is not a matter, since the deciding department, namely the Ministry of Shipping, have already decided, I thought of, and it's not a matter which is of great secret, I thought of revealing it to all of you so that you can form the back end support to take it forward and to generate and to start working on how you will be implementing it. Merely issuing a notification will not take it forward unless and until my colleagues in the trade, in the trade of logistics, and also in the appurtenant trade of warehousing, also part of logistics, and others are also involved in it. And these were my 3 points. But, I mean, in a forum like this, you can keep, and where there is an audience waiting only, where there is a captive audience, one can go on and on. But I think before others switch off, let me switch off myself. Thank you, and thanks for all your good wishes on my 61st birthday. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Just, I think we are run out of time, but I would like to just take one question with you, sir, if it's possible. Sir, I think you rightly pointed out how the ports have been forced to do certain changes based on because of this compulsion right now and use technology very actively. Is there a way and means that we can put technology to more use where some kind of an app gets developed from a logistics perspective, not the portal, sir, but more from a perspective of how movement has to happen using the national permit or the
Vineet,
permits issued by the states?
Vineet, it exists. ITWA has done it. There are other freight apps which are there. There are large number of Indian startups which have done it. But unfortunately, we all need to take a blame. So institutions like ASSOCHAM are not giving them the platform. I'm not telling that you make it unique. Don't make it unique. But please please create a platform where everybody can plug in. But unless and until you do it, people think everybody wants to have exclusive business over customers. I have no problem. You should have exclusive business. Nothing wrong about it. But you provide a public platform. Only public institutions can provide public platforms. And already the fact that we have not done it is a matter which will go on this COVID as a lost opportunity. It is very much there. We are not doing it. We are not doing it. Yesterday you must have seen Freight Wala was there. Freight Tiger is there. Freight Broad is there. Delivery is there. Even ITWA, which was an organization very new, they have come forward and they have a massive portal. But
Sir,
we are
sir,
not.
I wanted to interrupt, sir. But it is not for the purpose of getting the trucks, etc., but more from the permissions perspective and visibility for the government, not for us. So it's a government. If I have a my national permit, can all that be visible on a portal on an app so that a person, a constable, or anyone can see that and say that yes, you are the legitimate person.
Yes, ITWA has done it. I myself inaugurated it on the e-platform. But the point is, why are we not promoting it? And it is not just ITWA which has done it. I am not telling only you should use an e-pass of ITWA. You can use an ASSOCHAM e-pass. The platform can be different. I mean, when you issue it, the idea I mentioned it in the very first part of my speech. All what is required is not a government approved e-pass. It is an e-pass for facilitating the regulator on the ground, who is no more than a constable or a head constable, to know that you are a person with an authenticity. And that if the constable has got any doubt, all what he has to do is to take the number and talk to the help desk. And the help desk will ask him what is the number you are talking. And that help desk may be Vinit Agarwal or Shivasailam. And he will say, yes, shoot this pass got this fellow, and he is going from A to B. And suppose a person has to go from A to B and he was found in E, which is about 100 kilometers away. That means he is an unauthorized person there and they don't need to give him permission to enter. So instead of allowing government to regulate, you allow government to facilitate.
Good point, sir. Thank you. So one other question that is over here, the last question I'll take, which is related to specifically around agrochemicals and other such inputs. I think the people over here are asking a question that the supply of that has been greatly impacted because some of the input chemicals, etc., are stuck in the ports and they are not moving yet to the factories. Those you've allowed that, but the priority is not there on that is what the question is on these kind of chemicals.
No, I think Samir is also there. I think Samir is there in our in this webcon. Samir is there in this webcon. He'll say, let me tell you one thing. Please ask your supply chemicals to approach the site forwarder and give him a direction to withdraw it. Give him a direction to withdraw the things, because you see, people, as I told you, there is a great deal of incentive approach. Just because the thing has been waived, people are not removing things. Please ask your chemical to tell the port if the freight forwarder or the intermediaries are not withdrawing it. Ask them to, you give me the thing, I will ask the port to send it out, and tell me the freight forwarders, I will ask the port to issue them a notice.
Okay, so I hope that question gets answered. Sir, I think we are now run out of time. So I would like to express my grateful thanks to you, Mr. Shivaselam, Mr. Sodhi. Sir, so you want to say something?
Yeah, I see. I see my other colleagues. Jyotilal is there.
Yeah.
And Divedi is also there. That's great.
Yeah.
I hope we can work together and move away from this regime of getting into this path, so that we have other works to do in trying to get the economy on the rails. And therefore, this aspect of control, we should be leaving it to the individual institutions and the thing. And yes, if an institution fails the nation, they need to be named and shamed. It's as simple as that. We should not, but we should trust them with the responsibility along with the responsibility goes the respect which they deserve. I would more concentrate on the respect, because based on that, because if they have got a respect to lose, they will always, everybody will be responsible if they have got their respect to lose. Because the respect actually lands, at least health you may be able to regain. Respect if lost can never be regained. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much for joining us today. Thank you, Mr. Sodhi, Mr. Krishna Babu, and Mr. Vivek Pandey, and Mr. Malhotra. Now we'll start the next session, sir, which is on railways, interstate and intrastate movement. So I have, sir. Yes, sir. Thank you. Bye. Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Mr. Sodhi. Thank you. So we will just wait, Mr. Divedi, Mr. Jyotilal will get the other speakers as well, and then we'll start the session. Just give us 2 minutes, please. Good morning. I'd like to start the second session today on the overall webinar is on connecting the fragmented supply chain. We had a first panel discussion in earlier in the day on cross-border transportation as well as enhancing smooth operations. This is the second webinar of the day, and this is more from learning about intrastate transportation and the issues around it and the assistance that is being provided. Thank you so much to all the participants as well as the panelists to join us today. Clearly, there are very extraneous circumstances that we are all facing, and with all the help of the government at various levels, I hope that we are able to bring the supply chain back into its normal circumstances. Supply chains across the country are currently not only disrupted, but in many cases broken, and typically this will take anywhere from 3 to 4 weeks to even longer for it to get to a certain semblance of normalcy. So without further ado, I would request the participants, the panelists who are here to give their comments about specifically if they're from a certain state as to what are the action they're doing to help ease logistics in your state, so that we are able to understand more, and our panelists, our participants are able to understand what is happening. And then we will request other speakers to give their perspective on what are the things that they feel we should also be doing additionally. So I would first request Mr. K.R. Jyotilal, who's IAS, Principal Secretary Transport, General Administration, Government of Kerala, to please give his comments, please. Well, I'll also request you to please keep your comments to under 5 minutes. Thank you.
Hello, can you hear me? Hello. Yeah. I think COVID is a great lesson for all of us. So it's a great disruption. Disruption is an opportunity also. Probably we are one of the states which has to depend on other states for the all essential commodities. Our, in fact, truck movement has come down to almost from 2,500 to 500 trucks a day. So immediately we put up a war room which will take care of all the departments. There is a single chain of command under the chief secretary. All department has to work. Then say probably around 20 to 25% of the goods only we are able to, the government supply chain takes care of it. That means 75% is handled by private sector. So we robbed in all the private sectors, including the Reliance, all the retail chains, what they want. The government as a facilitator has to look at what they want, what the industry wants, what are the bottlenecks. So we address the issues immediately. I think probably I only started the WhatsApp group for all the South Indian states, and we slowly added all other states. All the secretaries, all the ADGPs or nodal officers across the state have been connected. The beauty of the Indian bureaucratic system in the steel frame, we have got Max Weber found it. He said nothing but networking. So the network is quite strong. We could address the issues. Second is use of data and technology. Most of the truck drivers who are stuck there, they were all using the GPS coordinates. They were able to send their details so that we could maybe bring them back. So 2-3 suggestions which I got. One is, okay, for a short distance, a truck is all right, but long distance for getting things from Rajasthan or Telangana, pulses, we need to have a rail system. So we contact a railway system. In fact, in AFED, we need to think of one central agency which will take care of all procurements in the long run in such situations. So we got in touch with AFED, and AFED then procured from Telangana. Then there are small issues in the local, maybe last mile, getting the trucks up to the loading point in Sanat Nagar. Fortunately, Krishna Babu and the Telangana secretaries, all of them have helped us. So I think that is one great lesson. For long distance, we need to think railway and maybe logistics hub attached to the railway stations. In fact, we are planning almost across the state, we are putting a semi-high speed with a logistics hubs in each of the rail stations which are planned, which will be lifeline for transport of goods in the maybe across the state. Second point which I'd like to mention is that we have got a monitoring system. All the trucks are fitted with GPS so that we know where the location of the truck can be monitored. My suggestion is the GSTN gets the entire data about the truck, what is all the goods movement, but why don't you just integrate with the Vahan Saradi so that we can avoid even the motor vehicle checking points, because you get the data in the GST and integrate with our Vahan Sarthi, we can avoid only thing. You need to put a camera and probably electronic weighing machines in the checkpost. That is one suggestion which has come. And we have got a beautiful system which is developed by CDAC. Monitor all the vehicle movements, even if the vehicle is outside our state, we are able to get in our radar where stuck, what speed is running, location, etc. Third one was the now the passes. MHS circular mentions about the issue of passes. Why don't we trust the railway and the airlines? Why should we put in the later circular also? We said the concerned railway authority, even the vehicle driver who comes or the pilot, we need to, the district collector will issue pass. I think this pass is something of old era where license Raj, you have to trust your people. So you entrust the all the logistics companies, they can issue their own passes or ID card and we trust them. So we have to make sure that we trust our own people. The DRM should be able to issue passes for his employees to come for running the goods train. Similarly, the airline should be, the cargo movement has to happen in the airlines. In fact, today we are getting some even air ambulance from UK. So we have to, if we tell that the person pass from district collector, nobody's got time. These are all extraordinary time. So I think that is one change come in the MHS circular, which to give the concerned, whichever is the operator, airlines or the airport or the DRMs to issue the passes. This is another point which I wanted to note. Then another one is the milling capacity and the warehouse capacity. This showed like we have got a stock for roughly 7 to 10 days. Now we take in war room, we can collect the detail from every district and every nook and corner, how much is stock, what is the position. So what we find is that suppose there is a shortage of commodity or there is some issues in the truck movement or the rail movement, then that means we are going to be the most affected. That means we should have stock at least for we are planning for some 3 months, but 3 months if not there, maybe economic order quantity, at least we should have it with us. So we need to increase the warehousing capacity in the state. That is another great lesson. I think there a lot of investment has to come. Then issue was the loading and unloading problem. And typically Kerala, we are able to manage it because anyway we have got at least 100 days in a year. We have got hartals and bunds. We have got used to how to manage it. So probably that expertise is there. But loading and unloading problem, especially at the loading point. For example, onion, there was a problem in the APMC market in Maharashtra is closed. APMC and then we had the problem. We had to send the trucks to the farmer's point. So this is where the need for having a warehousing facility at the farmers, maybe loading point, so that we can directly pick it up from there. So I think this is unloading issues. In fact, we are planning to send even the loading workers from in the bus itself, in our own STU bus, so that the issue at the loading point can be sorted out. Another one is the milling capacity. So we have got a 20 metric ton capacity only for milling. So that means milling, even if we get the pulses, we don't have the milling capacity here. Even if it is done in Telangana, it may take another 1 month for getting it milled. I think then last but not the least is, see, we talk about one great lesson which is say, even if people don't move, trucks have to move. That means the food, the essential item, the country can come to a standstill. Even if people don't move, nothing much is going to happen. People will be at peace. But logistics is going to be the India's or the people to survive. You need medicine. Actually, food is the first medicine. Second is the medicine. So these two supply chain are the crucial, are the lifeline for the country. And last is for the screening. We do the screening of the drivers and for symptoms. Asymptomatic cases, we allow them to go. Symptomatic cases, we'll test them. Maybe 2 days it may take to get the result through rapid test or even PCR test. So there, in fact, we should work on a system where the now I am working with the IIT Madras for developing a system by which you take using AI platform with portable ultrasound scans plus thermal scanning data. Second is your test. Third one is portable ultrasound scan. These three, the algorithm will tell within 5 to 10 minutes whether he is affected by COVID or not. So we need not go for extensive test. I think all airport, railway station stands and checkposts, we should have similar system before the lockdown is lifted. Anyway, they approached ICMR for approval. If that comes through, I think we should look for a digital solution for otherwise, if we put the drivers into 14-day quarantine, finished, the entire situation will get disrupted. So these are my initial suggestion. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. That was quite good. I think what I will do is I'll maybe take one question also, sir. Sir, the ports that you have in Kerala are operational right now, but of course there are a few challenges there with in terms of evacuation, and especially the implementation of the order from the Ministry of Shipping, or rather the directive, I would say. I think some of the private ports, etc., are not giving the necessary assistance to individuals, forwarders, etc., in terms of demurrage or in terms of credit, etc. So, sir, any ideas around that as to what action is being proposed?
Yeah, in fact, Cochin port we didn't have any problem. We allowed all of them to operate. Only thing, the demurrage charges is one thing which that is beyond our state government capacity. Probably Ministry of Shipping has to take a call. But at least railway has done that. We have taken up with the railway. Only demurrage charge in port they have not raised it with us. None of the agents. But here the railway they have taken up, and railway they have allowed up to, generally they allow up to 10 hours extra without any charging. We ask them for 2 days in case they don't get labor. I think similar thing in the port should be also be able to give it. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you, sir. Now, can I request Dr. K.K. Dwivedi, who is the IAS and he's a Commissioner and Secretary, Industries and Commerce, Government of Assam, to share some of his views on what has happened in terms of movement of logistics, or rather smoothing of logistics in the state of Assam. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, and good morning to all the participants. I will give a brief account of what is the present industrial and logistics scenario in the state of Assam, and if there is any specific question, then I will respond to that. As the analysts estimate, the lockdown is costing the country about rupees 2 lakh crore per working week. It is therefore imperative for the government to restart the economy, and the process, as you know, has already begun. Assam government has opted for gradual recovery rather than a sudden restart. Our priority is to get the economy back on track while ensuring that there is no resurgence of the disease. As on today, over 1,000 industries have resumed their operation in Assam. Over 800 large and about 2 lakh small tea gardens have been opened. The procedure for restarting of industry in Assam is very simple. We have issued a very simplified procedure. Now the industries are not required to seek a specific permission, a specific pass to resume their operation, but they can simply submit one undertaking to the district magistrate to the effect that they will follow all the prescribed guidelines, and after that they can start the operation. And their factory manager has been authorized to issue the passes to their workers, and management is not required to get the passes against each and every individual workers and the laborers. Free movement of trucks and goods carriers have been allowed within the state and interstate. These trucks and goods carriers are not required to get any passes. They can move without any passes freely. Goods train and parcel vans are running smoothly in the state. During lockdown period, more than 300 rakes with essential and non-essential goods have been unloaded in the state, and we mobilize over 24,000 trucks to transport these unloaded items within the state and to our neighboring states as well. Some godowns and warehouses have also been allowed to operate so that the supply chains is not disrupted. Even tea auction center has been allowed, and tea auction is going on in the state. But despite our best effort, only 2% industries have restarted their functioning, and most of them are working with less than 50% of their installed capacity. Disrupted supply chain and the low demand and operating capital constraint, a labor problem, these are the limiting factors for a smooth operation of the industries. As you know, MSMEs are the lifeblood of the economy, therefore needs greater support from the government to survive the lockdown. Government of Assam is working to bring out some scheme, some stimulus package to support the industries, and I am hopeful that government and industries both can work together and take necessary measures to restore the pre-COVID level of manufacturing in the state. And in state of Assam, we don't have any big problem. The problem is that because demand is low, so in production is not going in full swing, and industries are not coming forward to open and restart the manufacturing full strength.
Sir, a specific question related to Assam is that Assam is typically the hub center for servicing all the other sister states, and certain hub operations that need to be activated there have to be kept open. But permissions for those have been very difficult to get. So, is it possible, sir, that can be activated further?
Actually, permission is not required to restart the industry. The industry is required to submit one page undertaking that they will follow all the guidelines. After submitting this application, they can restart their operation and manufacturing process. No permission is required. Even for movement of trucks, if they want to bring some raw material or transport their finished product, no permission is required. It's allowed in the state.
So this is not for industry, but for, let's say, logistics service providers who need to open their warehouses for transshipment of the cargo.
Charges in
Sir,
Actually, these warehouses and the godowns are. Can you hear me?
yes, sir, please go ahead.
Yeah, actually, warehouses and godowns are not allowed to open without a specific permit. But if you get any request, then in 24 hours, this permission are granted. Like we got a request from tea sectors. So tea industries requested us to open, allowed to open their warehouses. We allowed 24 warehouses to be open in Guwahati town. So if you are getting the specific request, so permission is given to open the warehouses.
Okay, thank you. Now I would request Mr. Rajan Satterdarkar from Goa. He is the Director Transport, Government of Goa. Sir, can you please give us your comments on the activities in Goa currently?
Yes, hello everybody. Goa is unique, and we also had unique issues. Okay, Goa is basically a tiny state where tourism is main activity. So we have a large floating population. So in terms of logistics, also we had different challenges, unlike other states in India. Goa population is about 15 lakhs, whereas we have floating population of tourists, domestic and foreign tourists, of about 80 lakhs. So about 80 people are floating population. Also, Goa is a consuming state. Okay, being a tourism industry, everything comes from neighboring states like Maharashtra and Karnataka, and this transport system is a lifeline of Goa. And we had a big concern actually when this COVID thing started, how to ensure this supply. Secondly, here also people want branded stuff, and like when it came to relief and all, normal grocery was not enough. Like people wanted branded atta. So these were unique challenges. Goa started much earlier before we detected first case. Whole setup was created somewhere from beginning of January. That is 21 January. We advisory, the whole medical infrastructure was created in a very short time. Then on 28th January, first suspect was sent for testing. A lot of foreign flights were coming. So from 30th January, we started screening and taking a mandatory declaration from all those incoming flights from abroad. On 14th February, our public places were closed: cinema, pools, casinos, spa, and then the national lockdown started. We had a very we followed a decentralized approach. Like we followed a trust-based system in terms of issuing transit passes. We have after tourism, our next economic activity is pharma. Okay, we have 23 industrial estates and 4,500 industrial units. More than 3 lakh workers work there. How how to yeah, there were a lot of workers, migrant workers, so we had to set up relief camps for them immediately, otherwise they were stranded because we are depending on this workers from neighboring states. We had a very proactive approach. That there was a SDMA with the top leadership. Then we had a state executive council consisting of chief secretary. Our Parimal Rai has been very proactive. We have every day 90-minute brief review every day, wherein all issues are discussed openly. We come to know what is happening even with PMO and all the VC happening at national level. So the information was passed on very in a quick manner, and issues are being resolved day-to-day basis, including transportation and logistics. There are incident commanders at every district level. They are on the field. There are observers under this incident character, and there are nodal officers for every activity. I am the nodal officer for transport and logistics. Then there is a nodal officer for foreigners. Then there is a nodal officer for creating this mask and sanitizers in a rapid manner. Okay, Goa produced more than what we needed in terms of sanitizer. We produced 3.3 lakh liter of sanitizer, of which Goa used only 33,000 liter. Rest is is being sent to other states. So we believed in ruthless containment and proactive measures before things happen. So we had total 7 cases, of which 6 were from incoming from other countries. 1 is a relation of those 6. So all are tested negative, and right now Goa is COVID free. But our focus is on reviving the industry and kickstarting this economic growth which is affected. So we are using this captive labor who are in the labor camp. Basically, industry is using them. There are special transport arrangement has been provided to these camps, to the industrial estates wherein these people work now. All the functional managers of these industrial estates are authorized to issue passes so that it is rapid and no time is wasted. There are local officers there, so they issue passes, transit passes for the employees of the industrial estate, workers who want to move within the permitted activity, of course, including the neighboring villages. So we use air transportation also. Goa is one of the few states who set up immediately a testing lab for this swab test analysis of our own, wherein we had to transport the technicians by air, that is Navy provided as aircraft, to Pune and get them trained and back. Also essential kits were procured by this Navy aircraft. Mostly our transport is based on road. Also freight service is smooth and fine. There is absolutely no problem in the movement of vehicle road transport to enter Goa. Okay, there is complete clarity. Whatever essential, non-essential, absolutely nothing, no questions are provided. There is two driver now, and 1 cleaner can enter in this vehicle, and same person should go. We have created a software. What happened, like after Goa declared COVID free, like some workers were trying to come Goa in search of job opportunities because we are starting the industry. So we have to be more vigilant now. So software is tracking these borders, and we ensure that whoever person enters goes back in the same vehicle. There is no change in the name. We had challenges in terms of last mile connecting deliveries particularly. So this home delivery service, even right now the fish is being home delivered. We converted our transport buses into mobile grocery shop, sort of, So the district collector was ensuring that the buses reach wherever people, and they used to buy at the same market rate, whatever. This was done through Department of Civil Supplies. So buses go Even we helped actually the neighboring states of Goa, like nearby, wherever there was supply problem in Maharashtra and Karnataka, these buses went there. Work, yes. So yeah, this is the thing. If any questions, you can ask.
Thank you, sir. Now I would invite Mr. Sameer Shah to give some of his comments. Can I request you to also address any specific issues that you have with these respective states as well? Thanks.
Yeah, good afternoon, everyone, and thank you to the organizers for conducting such a wonderful program. I represent the freight forwarders and the custom brokers who are responsible for the international cargo movements. What we have seen is that we've all talked about the initiatives of customs, and yes, it has been great. A lot of initiatives have been taken. We did have problems at a lot of operating issues despite the initiatives of the board, but the board was quick enough to plug each of them, and I think it's working well. From whatever information we are holding on import cycle, nearly 80% of the bills of entries have been filed for cargoes which arrived into India as on yesterday. The problem which is coming up is that with so much amount of facilitation that Indian Customs has done, out of all the bills of entries that have been filed, I think around 75 to 80% are automatically ready for delivery. But so that's on the import cycle. On the export cycle, yes, what is reported to us is that we have not even filed around 15% of the number of consignments that should have got filed during this period. I just want to draw attention of everyone that we need to understand who is India's importing community. We have a wide profile of people who are exporting and importing from India. It's not just the big majors, but we have a lot of small enterprises who are involved over here. What we are noticing is that whichever were the larger organizations who have access to the bureaucrats, to the police, to the associations, who have access to be able to understand information flow, they have all been able to find solutions, and barring the first 10 or 12 days when they were also grappling, they have found good solutions to open their factories, to receive their staff, and have started receiving import consignments from the various air cargo complexes and the container freight stations. But a major chunk remains the medium enterprise. Now, the medium enterprise is finding it very difficult because they are not used to work from home. There is a digital signature issue which they are all facing. They are finding it very difficult to get local permissions to open their factories and warehouses to receive cargoes or dispatch cargoes. Now, what we are noticing is that despite all the efforts that are being done in the lockdown too, with the administrative powers going down to the sarpanch, what we are noticing is if you look at any of the major exporting importing facilities, they are outside the metros. And since they are outside the metros, they are surrounded by a large number of smaller villages. Now, what we noticed in Navasheva, in Mundra, and in a lot of container freight stations across the country is that the sarpanches in lockdown 2 closed down their villages. Now, with their closing down the villages, the human beings, the people who were actually servicing the export import, have got isolated. There are no real tests done, there's nothing done. It's just 15 days, I don't want anything in my village, so I am closing it down. So that is one problem that we are facing. Another problem which is coming up primarily is the readiness of the importers and the exporters, which I just mentioned to you. And this what we believe as freight forwarders and custom brokers, and we are trying to talk about this to our importing exporting community, that this is a calamity with no precedence. We cannot expect that anyone out of us is going to get out of this calamity without being affected. We are all going to get affected, whether we are small businesses, big businesses, we are individuals, we are working class, whoever we are all going to get affected. Instead of harping on the concessions and the waivers that the government is trying its best to give, please start taking deliveries by filing claims on the custodians to say that in case tomorrow you decide to give the facility, I should be given a credit note, but please start moving the cargoes. I think the real problem is not with the logistics service providers or the administration. It is more at the importing and exporting community level, that they are a bit too concerned ki how will I manage all of this. They are also right in whatever they are doing, but I think all of this put together is taking away the good efforts of the administration and the logistics service providers. Lastly, what I wanted to submit is that while in lockdown 2, the administrative powers have gone down, it might be better if every state had a proper directive. Because what we are noticing is that some collectors are viewing the problem differently, some sarpanches are viewing the problem differently, and the implementing person, who is your class 4 constable, while he is really putting in a lot of effort and a lot of hours, he has no direction. When I stand and talk to quite a few of these police at the 4 roads, they say कि sir कल हमको ऐसे बोला, आज हमको ये बोला है, कल हमको कुछ नया आएगा. So if there is a proper information flow, which will also make it easier for public at large to understand what is happening. To give you very specific examples of Hyderabad, Indore, Pune, and a few other cities, the customs administration has issued passes. The custodians have issued passes. So people are trying to make an effort to move to the facilities and work over there. But the local police are not permitting people to go. So, it's not, I think we have unnecessarily taken the solution to the problem at a level where there are no solutions. So since we have so many senior officers from the governments over here, I think it might do good to have a proper directive to the local administration that this is how you need to view the problem and this is how you should permit the movements. With this, Vineet, thank you so much, and I think it's a great initiative. And I'm still here for any questions or any comments or suggestions. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Samir. Before I move on to Mr. Mahendra Arya for his points, Dr. Dwivedi, there is a question for you specifically saying that has a restriction in the movement of non-essential commodities to Assam by rail been removed or not? So now, can non-essential cargo move to Assam by via rail? So you're on mute.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
As I told that the movement of essential and non-essential goods allowed, absolutely allowed in Assam. There is no restriction whether by rail or by trucks. And from rail, we have unloaded about 300 rakes during lockdown period. And out of 300, I would say 200 rakes were the non-essential goods only. So it's absolutely allowed. There's no problem.
Thank you, sir. Now I would request Mr. Mahendra Arya, who is the president of All India Transport Welfare Association, to give some of his comments specifically to, if you can address her to the respective state secretaries who are here, it would be good. And he will not be able to join via video, so he's going to talk to us via audio. Mahendra Arya ji. I think he's still having some audio issues. So I think we cannot get him. We have Mr. Prashant Sahu, who's the Principal Chief Commissioner, Southern Eastern Railways. He is also with us today. So if he is there, maybe we can request him to give a few comments on terms of what Southeastern Railways section is doing in terms of movement.
Am I audible? Am I audible?
Yes, you are.
Okay. In fact, I expected somebody from Railway Board to participate today. Since somebody has done, then I can give a total brief of what railways have done to help in this post-COVID situation. In fact, on a regular basis, we run about 13,500 passenger trains and about more than 9,000 freight trains. So all these trains, now there is a lot of capacity we have in the system, since none of the passenger trains are running, and only about say 50 to 60% of the freight trains, that is 5,000 freight trains, are running. That is the reason why we are able to give these express trains the path of express trains. In fact, they are reaching the destinations just like any other mail express train which were running earlier. There are a total number of 110 parcel rakes moving all over India, and in fact they are covering all the major routes. And on a day-to-day basis, if we take it, it will be about 70 trains per day. And in the freight sector that we have facilitated is in fact wharfage and demurrage charges at many of the freight terminals has been removed. But we find some problem in this also. We would like ASSOCHAM to help. If there are some customers, say for example, who are in cement sector and all, they are reluctant to unload because there is no demurrage charges right now. So if they can be told, because now godowns are opening, markets are also opening by and by. So if they can unload these cement rakes, we'll free those covered wagons, freight wagons, so that they can go for more essential things like food grain loading. And from ASSOCHAM also, we need help in other sectors. Say, for example, the road. Now, one of the speaker was telling, in fact, Mr. From Andhra Pradesh, he was telling that, Mr. Krishna Babu, that only about 1/3 of the lorries are operating in interstate movement. So that is a very right opportunity where you can fully utilize these parcel trains that we are running. These parcel trains are being utilized at a very low level now, maybe about 20 to 30%. And in Eastern Zone, it is very low, that is about only 10%. So I would request ASSOCHAM to kickstart all these elements in the logistics, which are the markets have to open up, the godowns and warehouses, they have to be also facilitated so that they can open and take the goods. Cement rakes perhaps are not getting unloaded because the warehouses are full. And the road sector operators and the truckers association, they have to be given the incentive because there is hardly in the last mile linkage, they can play a great role. And in fact, Railways is not only issuing passes to their own staff, we are also issuing passes to any contractors' labor who are not able to move to their loading or loading points. So with this, we would like ASSOCHAM to play a big role with not only the Truckers Association, the godown operators, as well as the markets itself, so that they can start.
Thank you, Mr. Sahu. One question I have for you is that we have been hearing in some cases that there is a shortage of train crews. And in some cases, we are not able to load the trains also because crews are not available. Sir, is that being addressed?
Is it to any specific sector? Because in our sector, we know this is Southeastern is a freight heavy railways. and we are only running at 50 to 60% of our capacity. So there is no issue of shortage of crew over here. If it is there any other specific zone, you can point it out so that I can take up with the concerned zone.
Sir, I think it's in the western zone mostly, maybe because in the Maharashtra belt the cases are also much higher, so maybe there is a little bit of fear of people moving there.
Okay, then I'll take up with the central and western zones and see what can be done about it.
Okay, thank you so much. But your points are well taken, and we will also we will give our guidance to the cement companies, etc., to unload so that we can use your trains for other purposes as well. Thank you for your comments. Again, I will go back to Mr. Mahendra Arya if he is available to share his comments. If we can.
Yeah, am I audible?
Yes, you are.
Okay, good. Okay, let me start with a caveat that I joined late. I could not hear the earlier speakers except the last couple of speakers. So there may not be a connect between what they said and what I will discuss here. And secondly, because I'm not visible on the screen due to some technical issues. Let me come to the ground reality. I agree with Mr. Samir Shah, who described about the issues related to the villages and the panchayats. This has been happening around GNPT also. Mr. Siva Salam personally approached us, and our team started working at GNPT, and we could raise the movement there from maybe few containers to few thousand containers, and that is possible. But the issue is not more right now at the ports, because ports have been empowered also, and some methods have been designed there. Somebody is issuing passes and somebody is handling other problems. That is not so with the road transportation. Unfortunately, the circular dated 15th of MHA is nowhere visible on the ground level. The circular says the warehouses should operate. At ground level, the message is you cannot open the warehouses of transport companies also or standalone warehouse also. That's one part. Second part, the truck is allowed to move. The driver's license should be good enough as a pass. Lot of places the driver is being asked where is the letter from the authorizer. So we don't understand how to handle these questions. Every state has got a difficult situation right now. For example, lot of problems being faced in Telangana. Telangana, the drivers are scared to go on the road because if they don't reply and then they get beaten up also. So I have many such phone calls. The drivers are stranded at the parking and they are scared to leave. We are having problems at lot many other places also. And the reason, let's come to the reason. If everything is honored at the ground level, out of the circular dated 15, I think the problem would have minimized. But number one, those are not being followed. For example, I'll say in Karnataka, there is an internal rule now. Anything, any warehouse, any operation which is within the city limit is not allowed. In the rural area, if you are there, you can be allowed. So the locations can be anywhere. So that is happening in Karnataka. I will not go by state to state. Every state has different types of problem. Drivers, they have to come from their villages to reach to their trucks. In turn, they have to cross the states also. In turn, they have to cross the districts also. But they are not allowed to cross the states. So there's no public transport available to anybody. So the challenge is very, very big. And the biggest challenge now, if somebody wants to work, we want to move the supply chain, then how will people go to the place of work? Because there's no mechanism of issuing the passes. Yeah, maybe on record there might be some. On ground there's none. Yesterday I tried to talk to the collector of Waltham because there is some of my members were having problem with the movement of medicines from their godowns. I was put on the hold, or later on, you please contact later on and given another name to talk to. I don't know who was the other gentleman, but after that, nobody lifted the phone ever again during the day. So this kind of situation is prevailing. There is a tendency to pass the buck. Nobody wants to take the onus of issuing a pass. Everybody is passing the buck. If I'm forgiven for saying that, the center has passed the buck on the states, and the states are now passing the buck on the collectors and people like that. They are passing the buck to their juniors, and nobody is prepared to issue passes. So without passes, things will not happen at the ground level. We may write anything in the circulars, it doesn't reach the ground level. People don't know anything on the road. They practice what they know, how to handle the drivers, and that's the worst method. They are misbehaving with the drivers, and if the situation is not sorted out, I think, I'm afraid, whatever 15-20% movement has started will again go back to zero. And I think that's it. Mr. Sivaselam must have talked about the e-pass, which AITWA, our association, had introduced to the central government. We gave presentations also. That's a robust system made by a very good software company. But had that been considered, things could have been sorted out. But again, whatever is the government's decision is welcome for all. Any question I can answer.
Thank you, Mr. Arya. I think Mr. Shivaselam did address all of these points, and in fact, he did mention very specifically about the ITWA app also, that everyone should use that more and more effectively. So those were some points, and I know you missed the states, but we've had today almost 5 states who have spoken on their issues, from Andhra Pradesh to New Delhi to Assam and Tamil Nadu. So I think it has been quite interesting to get their respective perspective. But you're absolutely right on certain ground challenges. We do not have time now for any further discussions. I have addressed questions also specifically to respective panelists. Samir, you had something to mention about civil aviation. If you can just do it quickly in just 1 minute, please.
Yeah, it won't take time. I just wanted to share an initiative which the Ministry of Civil Aviation did right at the beginning of lockdown 1. And through that, we have been able to move so much amount of pharma and Apeda cargo internationally. SpiceJet, Vistara, and all of them started operating with Air India operating. I think that was a great initiative. So whoever is listening in, if you are having any imports or exports by air, please contact your IATA agent, because air cargo has started operating from practically every airport. Yes, it is a bit expensive and it is not happening with the same frequency, but movements have started. Another quick thing, Vineet, because this is an ASSOCHAM platform, I wanted to supplement what Mr. Sahu said. The feeling amongst the service providers and the infrastructure service providers is that because the government has announced a waiver, the importing and exporting community is not prepared to work in the waiver period. I think we need to demonstrate that we are not here to take undue advantage of a particular situation. So maybe ASSOCHAM may like to communicate to its members to start operating pickups and deliveries as much as they can. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Samir, and thank you to all the panelists as well as all the participants at today's webinars. Mr. Pandit, do you want to say something?
Yes, only one thing is that I was just listening, Mr. I don't know the name. It was from the truck association, I think, transportation.
Mr. Arya from ATWA.
Share my number to him. Mr.
Yes,
Arya, I am Vivek Pandey, Commissioner Trade and Taxes from Delhi, and I had a talk with different transportation in Delhi. In case of any Delhi issue, you can contact my number. It is given. You can take from ASSOCHAM. I am Commissioner Trade and Taxes. We will sort out in Delhi at least. I can assure you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank
So I think this has been very proactive and I think quite informative. And there are certain actions that we as an association have to take, including informing our members on certain deliveries that they should start doing or unloading at the factories, etc. It is something we will do. And again, I would thank you all in this trying and difficult circumstances to be present as well as sharing your thoughts. And best wishes. Please be safe and take care. Thank you so much for joining.
Thank you.
Thank you.